Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're at Flow Gardens with Nick Shipley and Kevin Colvert of Cutting Edge Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're going to dive into how some of the best herb in Tennessee is produced.
Up front, this is where we keep all of our water storage. We have a reverse osmosis system that's in the back where we're constantly pumping in reverse osmosis water into these storage tanks. And then each one of these tanks is plumbed into our batch tanks in the room, and that way we can mix up our cutting edge formula and have everything ready to feed the plants. It allows us to just constantly have the water on hand that we need, and it allows us to make sure that we have our batch tanks in the room equalized and we can control it from there instead of having to control everything up here.
Totally makes sense.
We still use the cutting edge liquids and things like that for our foliar feeds, but we've fully switched over to the Louder powder, which has been a great product for us in commercial production. For now, we'll go check out the rooms and kind of go from there, right?
Love that. Let's do it.
So this is our mother room. This is where we keep all of our mother plants, which are just plants that are in veg that we're going to be taking clones off of to populate our grow rooms. In here we manage a lot of things. We have a guy in here that runs this room by himself, and then we just throw in people as needed. They take care of all the mothers, take all the clones. We pop seeds and do pheno hunts in here. And then we also pre-stage things before they go into the flower room. What I mean by pre-stage is we will drop all of the clones into bags and then kind of pre-veg them in this room before they go into the production flower room. And that allows us to keep the flower rooms in production pretty much all year. If you do the math and you break it down for how many rooms that we have, by doing it this way, instead of us having 4 harvests per room per year, you get around 5 to 5.3 harvests per room per year by pre-staging everything in your mother room. And honestly, again, with the Louder powder formula, they take off so quick that we really don't have a lot of veg, and it's just really allowed us to speed up our turnaround in all the rooms and have more production for the year.
That is killer. So I see kind of 2 systems going on right now.
Yep.
One's a GrowDan, one being a Smart Air grow bag. Could you tell me why? Why both?
So right now, this is literally just because we're popping some seeds and doing a seed run.
Okay.
We like to see kind of how it's going to react in a sterile environment and then put it in a Syn Organics environment and let it really thrive.
And you said, we say Synth Organics?
Yeah, that's just kind of the way, just a mixture, because you've got your sterile block while you're also mixing in some of your organic inputs, So we've recently swapped over to these 1.7 gal cocoa bags.
Okay.
That's what we're running in all the rooms, and we basically did that just because of the way that they take off and how much growth that they have. We found they've been a little bit healthier because we're allowed to run the Louder powder formula alongside with the Hum Tea and some of the, like I said, organic inputs that they offer.
Absolutely. It's one of those things, I talk to growers a lot about it from more of a bug standpoint and a chemical standpoint, but it's like, use your whole toolbox.
Oh yeah.
Use the whole world, like why would you pigeonhole yourself into one or the other when really using your entire toolbox what allows you to maximize your opportunities?
Right. Yeah, so what we do with these is we'll feed them the Grow A, Grow B while they're in here in the veg. Every 2 weeks they will get a treatment from the Hum Tea, which is a compost tea kit that the Cutting Edge company sells. We buy it in a 15 gal kit, and we make it about every 2 weeks, and that allows us to be able to dilute it down and implement it in all of our rooms. Once they go into the flower room, they're going to be just being fed the Bloom A and Bloom B up until about week 4, but also bi-weekly they're getting that compost tea with some beneficials in there, and that just really helps them thrive in these cocoa bags.
Absolutely. The beneficial fungi, bacteria, all kinds of stuff you get with that compost tea.
We add liquid culture to it, so we really get a nice little treat for them every 2 weeks.
What all comes in the Hum Tea?
So the Hum Tea kit is earthworm castings, it is liquid molasses, liquid humic and fulvic inputs, and then we have it come with a media bag that has isolated protozoa. So it not only suppresses disease and acts as a preventative for pathogen outbreak and stressors, provides a nice food for the rhizosphere and allows for more elemental uptake of fertilizers and root growth.
No, that's awesome, man.
So Nick, have you seen any achievements in aggressive vegetative growth when applying the Hum Tea? Do you see it like boost vegetative growth, or?
Yeah, definitely. We've been able to cut our veg time down to 14 days or less. Whenever we were in the Rockwool cubes, we used to veg sometimes all the way up to 21 days, and now we're more in that 10 to 14 day range.
That is
so it's
killer.
Really allowed us to have some explosive growth in the earlier days, which is, again, able it has allowed us to be able to turn over more harvest throughout the year.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, that's the name of the game is, how much can you turn over and how much space is it taking up to get to that finished product?
Right.
And the more you can make that efficient, the better. And they're looking phenomenal. I mean,
And these were just transplanted.
I mean, they look.
I mean,
there's no
these
shock.
came out of a tray a few days ago. So this is what they look like
The
after a couple
color
of days
is
just being in a
fantastic.
bag.
Yeah,
So
it is.
and you can tell these haven't even had enough time to dry back yet.
They're
No.
like
They've had their first watering and they're still in there drying
they're
back.
vibrant. Like
They
that.
are.
Yeah.
No, great color.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it almost gets a little too dark green.
Oh, yeah.
Or obviously too light, but these are like,
And
very
running the
healthy.
Hum Tea as well is kind of helped us stay on check as far as flushing bags. We're
Yeah.
not really having to go in and flush a bag or have any issues with lockout as often. We can kind of keep our feed as we want it, implement the Hum Tea, and that kind of gives the bag a reset. And like Kevin said, allows everything to kind of break down any excess salts or anything that might be in there.
Yeah.
Because-
and the Hum Tea was actually a PhD formula that was developed at the University of Tennessee. That's where it originated.
no kidding.
Dr. Dave, our original
I did not know that.
PhD, did his studies on the beginning phases of Hum Tea at the University of Tennessee here in Knoxville.
Love
Oh, that's
that.
cool.
That is
Nice.
cool. I did not
Nice.
know that.
Just
That's
plug.
really cool. Yeah, plug.
Yeah.
UT. Dude, Nick, and I'll say also, man, I mean, just again, the cleanliness, the color in here. Do you mind talking a little bit about your process of, like, how do you keep this place running without, rampant pests?
Oh man, so we have a pretty strict ratio that we go through on our IPM and our SOPs, and a lot of it kind of starts with this system, right? So this system is an RDWC system. We run very sterile in here. We do use some beneficials in the root zone, but mainly we run like just a sterile system the entire time. Starting sterile with these mothers allows us to have clean clones, which allows us to have clean plants. But we also stay on a weekly regimen where we are spraying IPM as a preventative. And in between that, we will spray some sterile sprays, sometimes some Zerotol or something like that, just to make sure everything's tip top.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, it looks fantastic. So one thing I know you guys specialize in is being able to offer the different types of flower, type 1, type 2, type 3. In your experience, do you feel like you can almost sometimes, and I know it's a little strain specific, variety specific, but in even how they grow or sit in as a mother, do you feel like you can almost spot one sometimes? Like, oh, that's a type 3 or that's a type 1?
So sometimes between like a type 1 and a type 3, but definitely not when it comes to type 2s.
But you're
just
kinda in the middle,
yeah, they're
goes
right
either
in the
way.
middle. But anymore, man, the genetics have gotten so good. Even on type 3 flower, it's not like it used to be. Or even, I'm sorry, in a mother form. So used to, I think that type 3 genetics were a little bit weaker and it was easier to kind of spot that. But anymore, they're so strong, it's a little difficult to tell the difference.
they've just really upped the game in the
Yeah,
past few years.
yeah.
I mean, originally type 3, we were really pulling from fiber and grain type things.
Yep. Right now, I can proudly say that this system is just being fed Grow A and Grow B at equal parts, and that's all it's being fed. Just the powders at equal parts.
Cool.
We run it pretty low as well in this system. Sometimes we'll run as low as maybe like 1.5 grams and 1.5 grams, but normally it sits around 2 grams and 2 grams. And that being simply because it's in the RDWC, they have access to it all the time.
Yeah.
Now, if we do notice a plant that's struggling a little bit, you can see that this one has a little bit of purpling on the stem, stuff like that. We might implement a foliar spray, but only if something is really necessary. And when we do that, we tend to use the liquids, and we use a Plant Amp, Mag Amp, Uncle John's. I absolutely love that mixture, and it seems to just check all the boxes on anything we might have missed.
Yeah, and one of the unique things about the current culture RDWC systems is, just like Nick was saying, is you are able to achieve healthy plants and healthy harvests with like 50% of the fertilizer usage, because you're not feeding 3 or 4, 7 times per day. The plant is eating 24 hours a day, and so they can achieve premier results with 50% of the fertilizer.
Basically,
And,
they just always have access to what they need, as
Absolutely.
opposed to that
Absolutely.
dose.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yep. I mean, we've seen success as low as about a gram.
Wow.
I'd say that's the lowest you could go.
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
theory, especially in a mother system like this, you could feed about 1 gram per gallon of the Grow A and Grow B, have everything you need, and provide healthy plants. We just crank it up a little bit more and crank the lights up a little bit more because we want fast production on these mothers, and that just kind of helps that happen. But the RDWC system is a really good option if you're looking to have mother stock, you need fast growth, and you want cheap inputs.
And coming in here, are these air stones?
Yeah, so these are air stones that are constantly inside the tank, keeping the water bubbling. I don't know if you'll be able to get a shot of that or not, but there's constantly aeration in there to make sure that you have a healthy root zone and to make sure that you have, you know, all the oxygen you need in the water for the plant to get everything that it needs. And this one is actually a recirculating system. What I mean by that is you can see that all of these are plumbed together. Naturally, this water is being pulled through this system by a pump that is in the epicenter. And then once it reaches the epicenter, it's dumped back into the epicenter, and through that natural pull, it's able to recirculate back through the system. So they do all share the same nutrients. That can be a little tricky if you have a plant in here that's a different genetic, and it might want a little bit more food, or you know, might want a little bit different pH. But we've been able to find that healthy balance to where we kind of make everybody happy best we can, and you know, just kind of go from there. Every now and then you will run into a genetic that just does not like having its feet wet all the time.
Yeah,
You
no, I
know?
believe that for
so
sure.
that also can be an issue, but very rarely if we ran into that. It's more so in the flower production than it is the vegetative growth, which is so interesting to me. Like, we can sometimes have a very healthy mom with no issues in the RDWC, but then you translate it into flower, and it's not that it does terrible, but it just doesn't thrive like some of the other ones.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's small little differences in them.
Yep.
That's really cool.
But this has really allowed our growers a combination of this RDWC system and just, you know, like I said, the nutrients that we run. It's allowed us to have more time to focus on the plant and more time to focus on the laborious activities that we should be focusing on, and instead of spending time, you know, going through and checking Rockwell cubes or checking bags or you know,
Emitters.
mixing up all these different nutrients. It's really helped us run more efficient.
Yeah, when I was in the greenhouse, we did peat in pots. A lot of traditional, not too different from ornamental production. 5 gallon, 7 gallon pots, and we spend so much time watering. I was like, God,
yeah.
no wonder all the hydroponic guys have the best genetics. I was like, y'all don't just sit around twiddling your thumbs watering all day.
Yeah.
Like, y'all can actually focus.
Right? Yeah, dude. I mean, it really allows you to catch things early because you have more time to inspect your plant.
Yeah, which is, name of the game, really.
Yeah.
So what's the longest you'll hold a mom on average?
Generally, we will hold it for a couple months, and then we'll cut it down, and then we'll reset it.
Nice.
So we might hold that genetic indefinitely, but we're going to reset that mother every so often and make sure we have a nice, healthy mom. Because once they get so big, they're not manageable. And this one is a very fast grower. So I would honestly say that this mom is probably a month old or something. I mean, so some of them take off so quick that we have to cut them down sooner. But luckily with our room rotation, if you shave enough clones off of this that we're going to need for a room, she's about gone anyways. So we just go ahead and keep one of those clones that's super healthy, reset that mother, and then we're back off to the races. And I know you brought up and kind of noticed that we have some plants in here that are younger than others. That's something that's very much, you know, strategic and on purpose, so we can actually have those in rotation. So some of these will be the exact same strain, but this one over here is slightly younger than this one, and that way we can shave this one down, get clones, reset this one, and then that one's ready to go a few weeks later to where we can jump right back into rotation. It allows us to keep our menu always rotating, but also we have all the clones we need without stressing out one mother.
Love that. Very cool.
After you take a significant round of clones off of one of these, like, what's your average time in between taking clones, like till you would go in and take another 15, 20, 30 off of one plant?
It kind of depends on the genetic. Some of them will bounce back really quick. If it's a nice bushy plant, like example, this little round, you know, ornamental bush over here, honestly, you could rip clones off of that and come back a week later and they are completely ready to go again. You may have some of those be a little flimsy because it's that fast, but it's totally doable. So if you really needed to, you could almost have like a weekly reset, or at most a bi-weekly reset for sure, and get a mass amount of clones off that same mother.
Yeah.
trying to see if we had any good shots of clones. We could talk about how we clone too, if you guys wanted.
Yeah, I'll take a little cloning info really quick.
Little clone,
Yeah.
clone 101.
Yeah, I'll always take a refresher.
Yeah. So basically what we do is once the mother is ready and big enough and we're about to get ready for a room, we rip a small clone off of there, dip it in some Clonex, some rooting hormone, plug it into these peat moss plugs, and then spritz down a dome, drop it on here, and then throw it on the rack. And then our guys will come in every day, check these cubes individually to make sure that they haven't dried back too much. And if they have dried back, they take like a little turkey baster, a little bit of clone formula that we've pre-mixed that is also the cutting edge formula, and give them a little spritz and keep them just as moist as they need to be. It's a little bit more laborious doing it that way, but we found that that's the minor detail you need to make sure all of these root at the exact same time. Before, we used to kind of just rush through it a little bit and we would cut extra clones, but by doing this minor detail of just checking each individual cube, doing a tiny little spritz of water on the ones that need it, instead of watering the
you
whole
stick
tray.
36, you get 36.
Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah, the number one fault in clone production is oversaturation usually.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and we noticed that real quick because it's so easy to just come in and dunk a tray, right?
Yeah.
You know, just to
Yeah.
take it and just boosh.
Yeah.
And I was that guy, you know, but we found that it's just so much better to be that much more precise, tiny little droplet. And some people I've seen, they use like a commercial ketchup bottle or, you know, like I said, turkey baster, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Just so you can get that small amount of water in there and keep them rooting at the exact same time.
Yeah, a little water pick if you really need it.
Yep.
Might blast
Yep.
them a little too hard though.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, yeah, let's go check out a room that's in
hey.
flower right now.
This isn't the light green boy, is it?
Oh, it is.
Or girl?
It is, yeah.
Look
Have you
at
ever
that.
seen anything like this?
So yes and no.
The entire time, no matter what you feed it, the entire time, it's like this.
Well, that's a whole thing in
Through flower and
ferns.
everything.
There's like a Boston fern variety that is known for being super, super light green.
Oh,
and
really?
like it's kind of a joke in the greenhouse industry that the first year you grow them, your grower gets in trouble because you keep telling them to feed it more nitrogen, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, they just stay light green.
Yeah.
Yeah, or magnesium, but you don't see any sign of magnesium deficiency
Yeah, dude, it's
in the
crazy.
veining, so that's just its natural color.
Because I won't lie, when I first saw it, I was like, that's no big deal. And I went and got some of that CalMag soluble powder, and I just mixed it up. I was like, oh, that'll do the girl just fine. Then I come back, you know, a week later, and I'm like, nothing's happened. And so I do it again and again.
The new
and
growth
I'm just
is
like,
exactly
this
the
is
same.
all the same. I don't understand.
Somehow it's
like,
more light green.
Yeah, you know, I'm making it worse somehow, you know. Cool. Yeah, let's go check out the RDWC room.
And for maybe those who aren't familiar, what is RDWC?
So RDWC stands for Recirculating Deepwater Culture, and this is essentially the same system we have in the mother room. The only difference is this is actually set up for more commercial flower, turn and burn style, to where you can have a high density canopy with a low plant count. We used to run every single pot and run it like super, super dense and do a little bit less veg time. But we just found for our workflow and to have that little bit of excess space in the canopy, going every other pot, lowering the plant count slightly, hasn't really affected our yield. If anything, it's made nicer A-grade buds, and it's allowed us to have that extra airflow to where there's not so many problems and not so much labor defoliating, you know, de-leafing, cutting off branches, stuff like that. And also in this room, we've done some head-to-head competition between the cutting edge formula and other nutrient companies, major companies that a lot of people are using in their facility that also have a powdered formula, and we've done liquids head-to-head. And almost every single time we've had testing to prove that the cutting edge formula produces more terpenes and a higher cannabinoid profile. Overall, the RDWC room has, in our history personally, produced a higher cannabinoid profile and more terpenes, but especially with that formula. One of the cases, we actually had a 1% increase on the overall terpenes. So one was like a 1.3%, and then using the cutting edge formula against the other company, we had a 2.3%. So it was a very large jump, and we've just been impressed by it. We absolutely love how it functions in this room.
Yeah, and it's so consistent. I mean, you could almost send a razor across those plants. I mean, that is really nice.
Yeah, thank you, man. We've had really good luck in here. The canopy management can be a little tricky, but as long as you're on top of it early on, it's not really that bad. You just got to be ready for that explosive vegetative growth like we were talking about before, and just time it right to where you can get all of that out of there and allow your airflow. So generally what I do in here is, like I said, this is day 22, but we actually started our lollipop around day 17, and sometimes I might do a lollipop in this room as early as day 14 because of the amount of growth that they have.
Just trying to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not careful, all of a sudden it's bogged down, you're getting pest issues, but keeping this nice airflow, they breathe. I bet you almost see zero botrytis in here.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, good success rate because we just have like that nice open canopy. But don't get it wrong, these will definitely fill in. They've got plenty of growth time coming up. But yeah, dude, it's nice in here. I absolutely love this room.
And when you're growing in this kind of style, I mean, I imagine when you're phenotyping, one of the things you've got to watch out for is how consistent is that growth? You know, is it super long and leggy, or is it going to kind of match the growth space?
Right, exactly. You definitely have to pay attention to your genetics and pair your genetics well in these systems so you have similar growth pattern. If not, you get into this weird situation where you've got one almost smothering out the other one. And like we mentioned before, there are some genetics out there that they just do not really care for the RDWC system. They don't like, you know, I'll call it having their feet wet, having their roots in the water all the time. But then you have other ones that they absolutely thrive. Now, the plants over here that are shorter, they had 14 days worth of veg. This plant had 5 days worth of veg.
Oh, wow.
So now that we've seen that response in this room, we now know, okay, well, next time we could pack this room with this plant and do 5 days worth of veg. Right around the time when you're ready to actually change the formula to flower, you're already off to the races.
Yeah.
And that has allowed us to just be able to pump out, again, so much better quality and so much more quantity of it by paying attention to those variables, keeping those notes, and putting the right genetics in the right spaces to where they can thrive.
And one of the things about the RDWC systems is maintaining water temperature inside of the reservoirs. So I know you guys have a pretty nice chiller system that you run through here, but what are some of the key points on that?
So depending on where it's at in its lifespan, in flower, veg, etc., that'll kind of depict on what temperature that I decide to go with on the water. But to make it simple, I try to keep the water temperature between, we'll say, low 60s all the way up to just touching about 70 degrees. When you get 70 degrees and higher, that's when you allow pathogens and things like that to grow. Yeah. So I try to keep everything below 70 at all times. But as it gets later into flower, I'll actually manipulate the flower color and things like that with the water temperature.
Wow, by dropping it lower.
Instead of
those
the room
purples
temperature.
and fall colors. I love that.
So you don't have to drop the room temperature, you drop the root temperature in the RDWC and you can achieve, you know, that's very cool.
Yeah, you can definitely achieve that fall effect just by doing a really good flush formula and dropping that temperature.
Love that. And so outside of that, you know, kind of a fun question. Everybody's got their own things. Some swear by music, some swear that you got to have a greenhouse cat.
Yeah.
What's one of your things for plants and flower? What's kind of your, I don't want to call it superstition, but you know, what's kind of your thing?
Oh man, I come in here and I give them healthy conversation. You know, I pick on them, I give them their attention, I talk to them. And of course you got to have some good tunes when you're in here working, you know. They prefer gangster rap. You know, they really love Suicide Boys. They tend to enjoy that. Project Pat is a good one, you know.
Love that. Is that trade specific?
Oh, yeah, exactly. You know, I have that in my notes. Don't worry. We have those variables. But yeah, but this room is a lot of fun, too, because it's clean, it's sterile. You almost treat it like an aquarium. And for me, that is the most fun part because I get to really monitor each variable and keep almost like an ongoing chart every day to see my changes, my ebbs and flows per se. And it allows you to take that data and just really maximize on a plant.
No, that's awesome. And now this room is all for flower production. No breeding in here.
Right, correct. So this is all for flower production. We have pitched around some ideas of, you know, maybe using this for a space for genetics. But for now, flower production, and that's the way we've been running it for 5 years, and I hope we continue to run it that way.
I love that. Now, are some of the new flow genetics coming down the pipeline?
Oh, yeah. We have some really, really good stuff that'll be coming down pretty soon. We've been working on some crosses, and we'll be talking about that, you know, soon enough and letting everybody know how you can get in and kind of get some flow genetics in your own grow. We're going to be offering clones of the ones that we have tested that we know are hardy in commercial activity. And then we're also going to be offering seeds with some of our most popular strains either feminized or crossed with another one of our popular strains. So we hope everybody gets excited about that, as excited as we are. We've been working for the past 5 years, running these strains extensively over and over in our facilities to see how they react in RDWC, in soil when we were doing soil grown, and now in the cocoa bags. So we can't wait to kind of launch this stuff and show it off to everybody and see what everybody thinks, and hopefully getting a little bit of Flow Gardens in their own garden, you know?
Love that. Grow the revolution.
Yeah, man.
What's up, guys? Wanted to give a big shout out to Nick Shipley of Flow Gardens and Kevin Culver of Cutting Edge Solutions. Both these people are good friends of ours, and we really appreciate them walking us through and having a little discussion with us. Please go check out our sponsors, BBXLG, the Terp Chaser Club, and of course Lab Canna. And all of those people mentioned just now, all their stuff's in the description. So please like, follow, share, sign up for our email list, hit that like button. Stay tuned for more content. Peace.